Vice President Harris delivering her closing argument against Donald Trump.
Nearly 250 years ago, America was born when we wrested freedom from a petty tyrant. Across the generations, Americans have preserved that freedom. They didn't do that only to see us submit to the will of another petty tyrant. These United States of America, we are not a vessel for the schemes of wannabe dictators.
Urging Americans to turn the page while laying out her own policy plans on the economy, health care, and reproductive rights, promising to be a unifying president.
Unlike Donald Trump, I don't believe people who disagree with me are the enemy.
And distancing herself from President Biden.
My presidency will be different because the challenges we face are different.
But just before she spoke, the president potentially handing her opponent fresh fodder, responding to this offensive comment made at Trump's Madison Square Garden rally on Sunday.
There's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah, I think it's called Puerto Rico.
President Biden on a Zoom with Latino groups.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of Latinos is unconscionable.
Trump quick to pounce, responding mid-rally, comparing the comments to Hillary Clinton's infamous 2016 denouncement of Trump's supporters as deplorables.
That's terrible. Remember Hillary? She said deplorable. That didn't work out. Garbage, I think, is worse, right? Please forgive him, for he not knoweth what he said.
The White House said Biden was referring to the rally rhetoric as garbage, releasing a transcript showing supporters as singular, as if to refer to the comedian. Later in the evening, the president writing on social media, I refer to the hateful rhetoric about Puerto Rico spewed by Trump's supporter at his Madison Square Garden rally as garbage, which is the only word I can think of to describe it. His demonization of Latinos is unconscionable. That's all I meant to say. It comes as Trump is still battling his own political firestorm over the comments. His campaign, concerned they could hurt him with Latino voters, no longer shrugging them off.
I don't want anybody making nasty jokes or stupid jokes. But probably he shouldn't have been there, yeah.
Meanwhile, former Trump rival turned endorser Nikki Haley sharply criticizing the rally.
They need to go and tell Puerto Ricans how much, they do value them, but they also need to look at how they're talking about women. That is not the way to win women. That is not the way to win people who are concerned about Trump style.
Peter, let's go back to those comments from President Biden. Vice President Harris, she's already put some distance between her and Biden. She's been trying to do that. Does this ratchet that up even more?
Well, let's be clear. President Biden has played an extremely limited role in the Harris campaign, appearing with her at, I think, only one campaign event in the last 100 days, with no plans to be together between now and Election Day. Notably, he was not there last night, even though this massive event was literally right behind the White House. The Harris campaign, for its part, has not commented on the president's comments last night, but top Democrats, they are distancing themselves. We've already heard from the governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, obviously a crucial swing state, who said last night, I would never insult the good people of Pennsylvania or any Americans, he said, even if they choose to support a candidate that I did not support. And you'll remember just last week, President Biden, he sparked a separate controversy, telling supporters we got to lock him up, referring to former President Trump, before saying that he should be locked up politically, as one Harris aide told NBC News, Savannah, not helpful, whatever President Biden meant.
Well, it's 6 days left. It's such a tight race. Who knows what matters in these final days? But where the candidates go, that tells you a lot.
Well, they hit the gas. Former President Trump, he's going to campaign in North Carolina before finishing his day right here in the key battleground of Wisconsin. Vice President Harris, she has a frenetic pace over the next 48 hours, 5 swing states in that period of time, including a stop in Las Vegas, Nevada, where she will be joined by Puerto Rican superstar Jennifer Lopez. Savannah.
All right, Peter, thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't miss the Today Show every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific on our streaming channel, Today All Day. To watch, head to today.com/allday or click the link right here.